Welcome to Raising the Digital Future. Today, we're going to chat with Jacqueline Boucher, who is the Global Head of Safety at Snap. Welcome, Jacqueline. So one of our first questions is, there are a lot of kids wanting to use Snap today. So before we get into too many details, will you help share with those of us who may not be as familiar with Snap what it is, how it works?
Reinventing the camera as the greatest opportunity to improve the way that people live and communicate. So when you open Snapchat, it actually opens to the camera. And we describe Snapchat as a visual communications platform. Teens and others can send snaps, which are photos and videos, and they can send chats, which are text messages.
My 11-year-old, 13-year-old are definitely coming asking to get on Snap.
The minimum age to be a member of the Snapchat community is 13. Snapchat wasn't designed for users younger than 13.
What are the things that kids can do on Snap?
It's a little bit different than other social media platforms. It was designed for communications between and among close friends, meaning people that you know in real life.
How do I make sure that he's only communicating with people he knows?
We will be giving parents and caregivers insight into who their teens are connecting with on Snapchat. And this is very important because unlike other social media platforms, Snapchat does not have a public friends list.
That seems to be a differentiator from other social media that preteen and the teens are asking for. This is a little more limited to people you know, and it's not like you post something and then a bunch of people can follow you who you never know who they are.
You have to affirmatively accept someone as a friend before you can begin communicating. So there has to be that mutual acceptance, that reciprocated friendship before two people can begin communicating. So on Snapchat, as you just said, there isn't one person following another or random people coming into our lives without invitation or permission.
And one of the things I also like about Snap, but I don't fully understand is, isn't it that you post something and it goes away in 24 hours? How does that work?
Snapchat messages are actually delete by default, meaning once that message has been opened, it's then deleted. And I've made that mistake before. I've opened a message, I didn't read it fully, I moved on to something else, then I tried to go back to it later and it was gone. So delete by default can be extended to 24 hours in chat settings. And individual messages can be saved if you click on them, but the other party will be alerted that a chat has in fact been saved. We have limited public profiles. Those are for adults 18 and over only. There are no public friend lists, as I've mentioned, on Snapchat. And decide what your parameters are going to be based on your child's age, maturity level, your own family values. That's something that we really want to try to encourage.
Sometimes we just assume, they know all about the app. They've heard about it from their friends. They're the ones begging us to get Snap. So we just assume they know what to do with it. They know how to handle it. But it's really important that we actually sit down with them and educate them and see how it works ourselves.
First of all, what you've described is the kids have the intelligence and the parents have the wisdom. There's a big difference between the two. The kids know what to do with the apps and the platforms and the services and the technology, but the parents have been around the block, they've lived, and they can identify risk. So that's what I love to see about that conversation of those two sides coming together.
And one of the things that has often worried me is that I've heard these stories about kids who post something on Snap that is hurtful to another kid. So they take a video of a kid at school or a picture and they post it, and there's really no way for that kid to force that down. But what is the best thing for a parent to advise their teen kids to do?
In terms of Snapchat and a violation of our community guidelines and what people should do, we are very explicit and very clear in those community guidelines about the types of content and the types of activity that are prohibited on the platform. Bullying, intimidation, harassment of any kind is not permitted on the platform. We don't want it on Snapchat, and it's not in keeping why Snapchat was created and designed. This is critical. It's a critical piece of advice and guidance that I want to impart on your viewers. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. So we encourage teens and parents and caregivers to report specific snaps and accounts. Those reports are reviewed and they're actioned by Snap's trust and safety teams They operate 24/7 around the clock and around the world. And enforcement on our part might include warning the offender, suspending the account, or terminating the account entirely. You can report in-app. You can report on our support site, so that's via the regular web. 34% said that they worry what their friends will think if they take action against bad behavior on social media. We need to flip the script on those perceptions and that narrative, and we need to encourage teens to reach out about content and accounts that violate our community guidelines. And parents can help that along as well. Parents can report if they're more comfortable doing so.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jacqueline. This was really educational. I appreciate getting this overview and knowing that someone of your caliber, who I know has been in the trust and safety space for such a long time, is at the helm at Snap and trying to ensure that the community stays safe, is something that brings me great assurances. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you to all of our viewers for joining this episode of Raising the Digital Future. If you got value out of what we discussed today, please be sure to hit that like button and join us and subscribe.